Meet Marilyn, a 32-year-old corporate professional, happily married to Vincent for 2 years. Vincent, 3 years her senior, worked at a sister company. Since the beginning of their relationship, they had resided with his parents in a 2-family home. Vincent, the younger of 2 brothers, had an elder sibling named Albert, 6 years his senior. Before Marilyn and Vincent tied the knot, Albert and his parents seemed to be the primary occupants of the household. However, Albert's wife, Chrissie, known for her talkative nature and competitive spirit, often found herself at odds with her equally strong-willed mother-in-law. Eventually, Albert and his father had enough of the family disputes and decided to move out. Despite living alone since he started working, Vincent and Marilyn never seriously considered living separately from his parents. So when Vincent's mum suddenly declared they would move in after marriage, it caught both Marilyn and Vincent off guard. "I had assumed we would continue living in my current apartment until we decided to start a family, as it was convenient for my commute," Marilyn thought, her stomach twisting with unease. However, it seemed that living together was inevitable in their family's eyes. Although the idea initially unsettled them, they realized the commute wouldn't differ much whether they stayed at Vincent's apartment or his parents' house. Besides, the ancestral home crafted by Vincent's grandfather boasted both a main house and a guest house, promising ample privacy. Reluctantly, they agreed to move in. However, Marilyn soon found herself regretting the decision. Vincent's mother, in her mid-60s, began complaining about back pain and dizziness, leaving all household chores, from cleaning to laundry and shopping, squarely on Marilyn's shoulders. As a full-time worker, even sharing chores with Vincent barely managed to keep their lives and his parents' lives in order. Then, an unexpected financial burden hit them. Firstly, the guest house needed serious renovations. Initially appearing livable from the outside, stepping in revealed a dire need for more than just patch jobs. The bathroom, kitchen, roof, floors, everything showed significant wear and tear. Yet it was their space, and naturally they committed to paying for the renovations. What caught them off guard was when Vincent's mother demanded the same renovations for the main house upon seeing the newly refurbished guest house. It seemed inconceivable to fix up our space and leave them in a run-down place, Marilyn thought, her frustration growing. However, we couldn't afford to do everything all at once. "Why is Marilyn working then, to support us, her in-laws?" Vincent's mother questioned. "Exactly, Vincent. We blessed you with marriage. You should serve us in return." So not only did they want the house renovated, but they also desired new high-end furniture and appliances, claiming the newly renovated rooms deserved the best. Additionally, they made them pay for every little thing, from groceries to household items. Thanks to this situation, Vincent and Marilyn struggled to save even a tiny bit of money every month. Just as they approached their 3rd year of marriage, Vincent's mother and the Albert couple suddenly dropped a bomb. "We're moving in, you have to move out," Chrissie explained. She claimed Albert got laid off, although he was spared but chose to leave to save a colleague with kids. Despite having 1-year-old twins himself, he was deemed more responsible due to his prestigious university background. Facing this ultimatum, Vincent and Marilyn sat down with his parents, pleading their case for hours until they finally conceded. "Fine. We'll move out this week," Vincent said, his voice laced with resignation. It was clear they had no other choice. "We've learned plenty about a family from you, mother-in-law and father-in-law," Marilyn said, her voice tight. "It's time to put that wisdom into practice, right, Vincent?" she teased, glancing at her husband. "Ha! Finally getting it, are you?" Vincent chuckled. "Yeah, just like Marilyn said, we're happy to do it." "Great, case closed," his father affirmed. With that, Vincent and Marilyn turned their backs on their chuckling in-laws and headed for the guest house. 2 weeks later, they had movers arranged and relocated with no time to spare. Opting for the full packing service due to time constraints, they timed their move during their in-laws' regular lunch at a karaoke bar with friends to avoid any complaints about the items they were taking. They wrapped up all the formalities in 3 days, utilizing their paid leaves and starting their new life. However, one day, Marilyn received a call from the front desk at work, informing her that someone claiming to be family was there to see her. I had a feeling she'd show up soon, but I didn't expect her to barge in on me instead of Vincent, she thought, her jaw clenching with annoyance. Quickly texting Vincent about the situation, she braced herself for the inconvenience. Vincent's response came swiftly, suggesting they ask Maya to step out for a meeting to avoid causing trouble at the office. Passing the message to the front desk, they managed to make their in-laws leave. As agreed, that night, as Vincent and Marilyn pulled into the parking lot of their in-laws' compound, their in-laws, along with Albert and his spouse, rushed out of the main house and guest house to greet them. Upon closer inspection, Marilyn noticed both her in-laws had a baby strapped to their backs, probably Albert's twins. As she locked the car, Albert's voice boomed angrily. "Hey, how dare you show up here in my parents' cars?" Vincent remained composed, retorting, "Your parents' cars? Which ones are those?" This seemed to infuriate Albert even more. "The cars you both drove up in, obviously," he exclaimed. "Well, Albert, both these cars were purchased by us. Our names are even on the registration certificate. Would you like to see it?" Vincent interjected. "Hey," pause for a moment. "Would you care to support us? Like this video and subscribe for more. Now let's dive back into the story." Stepping in, I added, "I've been annoyed by how our parents drive these cars as if they own them. We let it slide because we lived together, but now there's no need to lend them out, right?" I added, feeling the surge of irritation. "Don't forget Dad-in-law has that old minivan he used for work," Chrissie chimed in, glaring at them. "Who cares about that old car?" spat Albert. "But it's perfect for twins, isn't it? You can fit 2 car seats," I retorted, attempting to reason. Their back and forth made their in-laws uncomfortable. After seeing Albert receive a talking to about the cars, they jumped in. "What about the furniture and the appliances? Taking them while we're away, that's stealing. Not just from the main house, but also from the guest house," Albert argued. "Yes, Albert and I can't live without those," Chrissie added. "Why would we have to leave them?" "Look, I get what you're saying. We're using the guest house anyway, but there's no reason to dip into the main house too," Vincent reasoned. "Why isn't that stuff we all pitched in for?" I asked, trying to understand their logic. "Such arrogance. Even so, once you gave it, it's ours," father-in-law fired back. "Whoa, hold on. We never gave you anything, we just lent it. There's no memory of us ever saying we're giving it to you. And there's no transfer of ownership on paper," Vincent countered, shocking both his in-laws. "We were living together, so we lent stuff as a courtesy. Now we're living separately. Why would we keep lending you things? We just took back what's ours. Is that a problem?" Vincent continued, exchanging smiles with me. "Well, we have washing machines and fridges too. You don't need 2 of each, do you?" they argued. "Exactly, so why not lend it to us again? Wherever you've moved, stuffing everything into a small space will just make it even more cramped," Vincent concluded. We exchanged grins, acknowledging our cramped living situation. "True, we're pretty packed right now," I admitted. "It's a tight fit," Vincent agreed. Chrissie began, "In that case," but we cut her off. "Remember, it's a storage room, so it's supposed to be cramped," I chuckled. "Exactly, until the official contract is done. This is how it has to be," Vincent concluded. This left Albert and their in-laws utterly confused. Then Vincent dropped a bombshell. "Oh, by the way, both of us are moving to Boston next month." Vincent smoothly explained that they had both originally been offered positions at the corporate headquarters, but had turned them down because they were living with his parents. However, now that the obstacle of living with them was removed, they had both accepted the transfers and happily received internal notifications for positions at the corporate headquarters. Even better, if all went well, they could be working there till retirement. As luck would have it, Vincent's colleague, who was going overseas for an extended period, wanted to sell his high-rise condo. Everything fell into place quickly. "You guys are going to live in a high-rise condo in Boston? Man, life sure does throw some curveballs, doesn't it?" Albert remarked. Totally. If Albert and the gang hadn't told us to move out so they could live here, we wouldn't have stumbled upon this jackpot, I replied. But how could we even afford a high-rise condo? That seems unreal, Chrissie questioned. That's thanks to Marilyn's dad. He provided the down payment, Vincent revealed. Marilyn's dad just gave you the down payment? Chrissie asked, surprised. Yes, my sister is inheriting the family property, so this is sort of a trade-off. Plus, a previous owner asked if we could hold on to his modern altar until his return to the country. I proposed lowering the asking price, and he agreed, securing a significant discount. However, hearing about the extent of the discount, Chrissie, who was standing nearby, burst into tears, exclaiming, "That's so unfair! I'd rather have a high-rise condo in Boston than live in Atlanta." Suddenly the in-laws, who had been quiet all this time, switched gears and started fawning. "Well, it looks like Vincent has it together, doesn't he? Like mother, like son. Vincent is following in my footsteps," they chimed in. Ignoring their comments, Vincent turned to me and said, "Living in a high-rise in Boston, everyone's going to be so jealous. When are you moving? We must visit." "If we're going to Boston, you should come too," I suggested. The idea seemed to intrigue them. However, the mood shifted when Albert and Chrissie stopped their arguing and snapped at the in-laws. "What are you talking about? Albert's being downsized, so you're going to have to support us. Plus, until I find another job, Chrissie will have to go back to work early from her parental leave. You'll have to take care of her household chores and the twins," they confronted. As tension mounted, Albert and Chrissie marched up to the in-laws who were carrying the twins. The babies, sensing the tension, started crying, waking up the entire neighborhood. Noticing the neighbors gathering at a distance from the garage, the in-laws turned beet red. Vincent finally intervened, addressing Albert and the others. "Stop just standing there. Exactly, these guys are trying to take advantage of us. Your parents." Vincent's laughter echoed as he continued. "So this is like a battle of wits between a raccoon and a fox, ha!" Turning to the bewildered faces around him, he grinned and explained, "If both couples, us and you, don't work, our family finances will collapse next month." Fuming, Chrissie asked what this meant. "Chrissie, you thought if Albert lost his job and you moved into the in-laws' rental home, you could just push the utility bills and groceries onto them, right? Well, our income was running this house, and you can't count on it anymore," I chimed in. "I've never heard about this." "Exactly what we're telling you now," I admitted, puzzled. "Oh, and you'll also need to help with the mortgage payments for the house renovation. It's in father-in-law's name," Vincent added. "Why is it in his name?" I questioned, catching the in-laws off guard. Vincent took over, explaining, "I wanted the loan in my name since I was paying for it, but Dad insisted it would be shameful. So we used this property as collateral. Until now, we've been transferring money into Dad's account to cover the loan. Albert, you'll need to chip in starting next month, of course." The in-laws and Albert were against it, but Vincent firmly declined to continue payments. "We're going to give up the inheritance, so Albert, as the one who will inherit, you better take good care of your parents and the family home," I firmly told him. "But children are still obligated to take care of their parents, right?" my mother-in-law insisted. Vincent brushed it off, saying, "Well, considering we've been covering your living expenses and loan payments for the past 2 years, I'd say that pretty much balances out any future caregiving cost I'd have as a son. Don't you think?" "Let's go home, love," Vincent said, looking at me. "Goodbye, everyone. I doubt we'll meet again. Take care," I said, bidding farewell. The next day, Vincent and I sold off the furniture and appliances we had moved from the main house, along with 2 cars we wouldn't need anymore. When Chrissie texted us asking for them, I simply replied, "Why?" and blocked her. After that, the special leave granted for our job transfer wasn't enough, so we had to use up our remaining paid vacations to finally finish moving into the apartment. Buying the high-rise condo would take more time, so for the first year we decided to rent, thanks to the generosity of my boss who owned the place. As the weekend arrived, bringing a bit of calm after the storm of recent days, we gazed at the city lights, and Vincent broke the silence. "I know I've been a hassle this time, but thanks for sticking with me." "What's with the formal tone all of a sudden?" Vincent joked, but then his expression turned serious. "When we first got married and the idea of living together came up, I should have thought things through, but back then, I was just happy you chose me over Albert." He wagged, then compared to since we were kids, he continued, reflecting on how they had mindlessly followed his parents' wishes until they told us to move up to make room for Albert and his family, due to the company restructuring. "It struck me, how could they say that after being such a burden on us financially and otherwise?" Vincent wondered aloud. "And then I thought about how much her parents must worry about you, given your situation." He explained that he sent an apology email to my parents, and their response was heartening. "If you promise to make our daughter happy in the future, the past can be forgiven." Encouraged by this, when they discussed the down payment, they lent it to us without a hitch. Vincent made a promise to do everything in his power to protect our life together, just the two of us and our future children, if we were blessed to have them. However, on the other hand, it seemed my in-laws were struggling. Despite pulling from their retirement income, they could barely afford the loan for the home renovation. With Albert's attempts to find new employment proving futile, they were forced to make do with Chrissie's salary now that she had returned to work. Arguments were frequent, often loud enough to hear outside the house. A former colleague even reached out to me, mentioning gossip about them skipping town, as they had cut off all contact with Vincent and me. They even resorted to reaching out to my parents, but my dad immediately changed his phone number, seeing it as a small but significant step given how they had belittled my family and neglected pre-marriage courtesies. Now they had almost no way to get in touch with us. "What goes around comes around," Marilyn thought, a sense of justice settling in her heart. "I'm used to it. Let's conclude the story shortly." Vincent and Marilyn, free from their in-laws' manipulative grasp, built a life filled with love and mutual respect in Boston. The high-rise condo with its stunning city views became their sanctuary. They often reminisced about the ordeal, shaking their heads at the audacity of Vincent's family. While they felt a pang of sympathy for the predicament Albert and his parents created for themselves, they knew they couldn't be held responsible. Marilyn, finally free from the burden of her in-laws' demands, thrived in her new job. Vincent, too, found his stride, no longer weighed down by the expectation of financially supporting his brother's family. Their life together, once clouded by obligation and manipulation, blossomed into one filled with freedom, love, and the promise of a future built on their terms. They learned that true family lies not in blood ties, but in the bonds of love, respect, and support, a lesson they would carry with them always. After experiencing the full journey of our story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How did the story resonate with you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay blessed. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.